guys, welcome or welcome back. It's Buttercup here, and today you guys are joining me for something very different from the channel, but something I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is I wanted to try my hand at doing some shiny redesigns. Now, I did make a community post a little bit ago asking you guys what are some shiny Pokemon that you think I could try and improve on, or some shiny Pokemon that you would like to see done a little differently. Now, I got a handful of incredible suggestions. I honestly didn't have the time to be able to fit all of them into one video, but if you guys enjoy this series, this is definitely something that I would like to continue doing on in the future. So go ahead if you want to find that post, or if you want to pop your suggestions for future shiny coloring change-ups, you can put that in the description of this video, and going forward I will refer to those. Now, I do want to say a lot of these shinies I actually do already like, but obviously this is what people want to see done differently. And even though I might like some of the shinies, it's still fun to kind of play around with what ifs of different potential color palettes for these. So please don't get offended if one of your favorite shinies is here. It doesn't mean that they're horrible. It doesn't mean that they're bad. We're just doing this as a way to have a little bit of fun and, you know, get our creative brain working. And I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who did leave a suggestion. There are a lot of really cool ideas. And with that, let's get into the first one. Now, the first one was actually suggested by Eva Jordan, and I was a little surprised to see this on the list, but I think I get it. The first suggestion was to try and redesign shiny Galarian Ponyta. Now, this over here is the regular colorway for Ponyta, which I think is really, really cute. Galarian Ponyta, sorry. I'm probably going to call it Ponyta throughout this, so I apologize. And this here is the shiny. Now, I'll be honest, I actually do really like this shiny. I think the cream with the like aqua looks really, really good, but I decided that I wanted to switch up the palette pretty significantly from the original shiny, and this is what I came up with. And boom, there we go. As you can see, I decided to switch up the whole thing pretty much. I mean, I did kind of keep this light purple here. You can kind of get the vibe I think that I was going for here with Galarian Ponyta. I was definitely inspired by 𝒓𝒅𝒏𝒄𝒄. I think switching the body from the light color to the black looks really, really good, and then switching all of these blues and sort of greeny colors, I guess they're more of like an aqua, right? Switching them to like a darker purple, I think it just makes this Pokemon look a lot more mystical. And I feel like, considering, you know, Galarian Ponyta is kind of based on like a unicorn, I thought giving it a very dreamy colorway would work really nicely. I also did go ahead and add a bunch of like stars and sparkles because I thought that would be super cute and kind of add to like the celestial vibe I suppose I was giving this thing. So let me know, what do you think? Do you think that you prefer the shiny that I've come up with here more, or do you like the original? I'll be curious to see what you guys think. Moving on to the second Pokemon, and this one was suggested a few times. I think a lot of people are not particularly happy with this Regice shiny, and that is Regice. This one was suggested by 𝒑𝒐𝒌𝒆𝒐𝒏 and 𝒓𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 Originally, my brain was like, oh, you know, it would be super cool. What if we turned it green? So I did that. I did that originally, and I was like, you know, it's cool, but I still feel like, considering this is a legendary Pokemon, I feel like it deserves something a little bit more special, a little bit more unique. So I did take this suggestion to turn this thing black, like Dead Sled suggested, and I do have to say, it does look very, very clean.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
But the reason I didn't commit to black and say that is my final design for Regice is because I think pretty much all Pokemon will look incredible with a black or an all-white shiny. I just think they're those colors that they just suit everything if they're done right. And I do really like the vibe of this, to be honest. It reminds me of like a smoky quartz, which I just think is so darn awesome. So I do really like this design, but I did decide for myself, I'm gonna go back to the roots of Regice. For those of you who remember back in the early day, it was a little bit more purple tone. So I decided while I was on my purple kick that I would kind of harken back to Regice's early shiny in the early generations and turn it purple again. I don't know. It's not a massive change, I don't think, in terms of like, ooh, okay, that's like a big color shift like the black or even the green. But I do think for Regice, it still kind of keeps that icy sort of look. I mean, I will say, I think looking at it now, it does look a lot more like a crystal, similar to the black, how it looks like a smoky quartz. This also kind of looks like an amethyst in a way, but I do really like this design. I think it looks really, really good. And it kind of, you know, sticks back to the old shiny for Regice, which I personally think I wish it would have kept just because it's easier to spot. But let me know, which shiny colorway do you prefer? Do you like the green, the purple, the black, or do you like it the way it is? I feel like considering so many people wanted to change this, I don't think there'll be too many votes for the original, but I'm curious to see what you guys think. Now, this one was really interesting for me to see in the suggestions. This one was actually suggested by Mataku, and that is for shiny Scrafty. Now, I think Scrafty's cool, but I guess I kind of forgot about it shiny, so I think that might be saying something as to what Mataku is suggesting, that I do think it also could be improved. Now, I originally was a little bit perplexed because I didn't exactly know how I was going to change this thing. I mean, the obvious choice would be go black and red or do something like that. That would look super cool, black or purple. But I decided I wanted to take a different approach with this shiny. I do like the elements of green in this, and so I did want to keep that. So I decided to come up with this. Now, I don't know if you guys are gonna like how this looks or if you're gonna think it's kind of creepy, but a lot of shiny Pokemon, the eye colors do change, but you never really see it with these ones where it's just black and white. So I decided to invert it. I did decide to make the body more gray to kind of match with the centerpiece on the original, and I did want to keep those elements of green, so I switched it to the little mohawk and this little tad bit here on the tail. I did, though, decide for the shiny, I thought it would be really cool if I kept the shedding the same color as the original. I thought that that would kind of be cool because, you know, it's not super far removed from the original there, but I think that the bit that does change works really, really nicely. And I don't know, I think the eyes changing like this looks super cool. It definitely makes it look like it could maybe be like a dark typing as well, but I thought it worked really nicely. Let me know, is it too creepy, or do you think this works well for the shiny Pokemon, for shiny Scrafty? I personally think it's really cool. I wouldn't be mad if I was going for a shiny Scrafty and it looked like this, but let me know what you think. Moving along to our next suggestion, another one that I actually really like the shiny of. This one is for shiny Alcremie, a redesign for shiny Alcremie. Now, this suggestion was from Conifer, so thank you, Conifer, for the suggestion. I appreciate it. Very interesting. I do see what you mean when saying that it would be cool to give all of the different treats a different shiny colorway. I think that would be super fun. Now, with this shiny, I was actually a little bit perplexed in how I wanted to move forward, because I did think about designing a shiny for each individual suite, just so then they could all be different. Now, I might do that in the future if people want to see a different shiny for the different ones. It's a lot of different designs. If you guys want me to do that, I will go ahead and I will do that for future ones. But I decided to start for this one with just the strawberry suite. And for this one, I thought it'd be kind of fun to not just change up the shiny colorway, but also a little bit of the actual imagery for this Pokemon. I really struggled a little bit initially thinking, how was I going to change this to make it look different, but also not too similar to something that already exists. Alcremie has a lot of different forms, so I definitely was struggling. I decided in the end that I wanted to go for a Neapolitan look based on like the ice cream. So I went ahead, I did the chocolate bottom, I did the strawberry on the top, the vanilla in the middle. Now you guys will see, I will have some sketching going on at certain points during this video, so you guys can kind of see my process with this. Now, I originally did just darken up the strawberries and put a little bit of like chocolate on the ends. I thought that would be super cute. I also then decided to add some sprinkles just to make it a little bit more fun. Like, ooh, the shiny is special. It's got little sprinkles on it. And then I decided the sprinkles of the Neapolitan, this was giving me birthday ice cream cake. And so I decided I'm just gonna go all out right now. This might be kind of ridiculous, but I thought for the shiny, it's gotta be special. So I decided to take the sweets out and instead put in birthday candles. I don't know if you want to count this as a shiny redesign or not. In my mind, I think it's a cool idea. Whether or not this is a little bit too extreme of a change in design, it's up to you guys to let me know if you think that or not. But I was actually really happy with how this one came out. I'm not gonna lie, if shiny Alcremie looked like this, I would absolutely have one in my team in every game going forward. I think it looks really, really cute. Oh boy, a controversial one. I was expecting that I was gonna get a lot of suggestions for shinies that didn't change, which you guys will see I've got a couple in here that are more on the subtle side. I was expecting to also see Dragonite. Dragonite is one of those Pokemon that I feel like when I hunted this, the comments were very divided. People either really like this shiny or people really, really hate it. I think for myself, I don't dislike Dragonite shiny. I actually don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but I will say, as somebody who loves the color pink, it did feel like a bit of a oof moment when they didn't give us the pink and orange to continue the colorway of Dratini and Dragonair. So I did go ahead and I did mock up a little design of that. I'm sure that's been done before, but I decided to include it just in case, which I think a lot of people really wanted to see this from this shiny. I mean, even people who aren't the biggest fan of pink, I think that they could see, you know, the continuation throughout the line, having the shinies all line up would have been really cool. But as you guys may or may not know, fun fact, in Gen 1 and up until I believe it was Gen 4, I think Gen 5 was when it changed. I just want to jump in here here and say it was actually through Gen 1 to 5 and it changed in Gen 6. I just wanted to quickly pop in and mention that. So they weren't designed specifically by people, meaning that it was truly RNG for what the shiny Pokemon looked like. Now, some of these Pokemon over time have changed, like Charizard or Regice over time from converting to 3D models. For those of you who don't know, Charizard used to be purple, but Dragonite is included in those Pokemon that obviously got a random shiny. So it makes sense that considering Dragonite is a different color to Dragonite and Dratini, that it would get a different shiny colorway as well. Although I do think this looks super, super cool. I wanted to give an alternate color suggestion that I think would look really, really nice. Now, usually I'm the one to take any chance I can to make a Pokemon pink. I mean, pink is my favorite color, but I decided with this one, I was feeling a little bit inspired by the original colorway of Dratini and Dragonair, and I decided to make Dragonite blue. Now, I did contemplate making the details white so I could really like have it just mix in with the whole original line, but I decided I wanted to go for a blue and black theme. I just thought it would look kind of dark, kind of cool. It kind of reminds me of like a water dragon, and for some reason that reminded me of the Dragonite from the Pokemon movie that's delivering the little letters for Mewtwo. But once again, I think if Dragonite shiny looked like this, I would not be mad. I think it looks pretty good. Let me know. Pink and orange, blue or black, or are you a fan of the original green and purple? I'm curious to see what the majority thinks on that one. Speaking of a Pokemon whose shiny barely changes, oof, we have Garchomp. Now, this might have been the most suggested shiny aside from Gengar for me to change the shiny of for this video, which once again, I did expect a lot of the shiny suggestions would be shiny Pokemon that hardly changed. So a thank you to 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒊𝒏𝒈, Blissful, Slymonkey, Nuffy, and Royal Ghost for suggesting this one. This one, I actually had a lot of fun with this. I did consider the idea of taking the shiny color palette from the Mega and making it pink. It was definitely on my mind. I don't know if you guys are gonna like what I did with this one. I kind of did take sort of a cop-out route, but I feel like I did it in a nice way where I did decide for shiny Garchomp in order to improve the shiny and have it, I think, look really clean. I did go the Charizard red and black route. I honestly though, I will say when I did this colorway, I was thinking more along the lines of shiny Haxorus. Yeah, I decided to make it red and black. I don't know. I feel like Garchomp is such a cool Pokemon, and I do really like the idea of the body turning a darker color and then keeping that red. I don't know. Something about it is very iconic for Garchomp. I kind of just wanted to go full shredder with it, full black and red. I think for such a cool and iconic Pokemon for a lot of people, having it still have that, you know, that intimidating look that Garchomp has, especially like having it linked to Cynthia and stuff, I felt like keeping the color palette very tough looking, I don't know how else to describe it, would just suit this Pokemon the best. And so this is what I decided to go for. I did play around with a few other color palettes, but honestly, this is what I settled on. And to me, this is, I think, a big improvement. Once again, I know there are people out there who do like the shinies that don't change very much. No hate to you. You are absolutely within your right to like whatever shiny, however they look. I mean, that's how they are. I don't think they're going to change Garchomp anytime soon. But I will say, if they did want to give it a little bit of a color swap up, I wouldn't be mad at this one. For the next two, we have evolutions. Now, there was actually another evolution that I didn't include in this video, but I think I will probably do a redesign for in the next one. But two of the more commonly named evolutions people wanted to see a new shiny for was Leafeon and Glaceon. It does kind of make sense in a way because once again, they are more on the subtle side for their changes. Now, I have to be honest, I actually don't hate either of their shinies, but I do think that we could potentially improve them. So first starting off with Leafeon, who was suggested by Metal That Is Bended and Izzy. Thank you for the suggestions. Now, I decided to take full liberty here in being Buttercup. As you guys know, pink is my favorite color. And I know a lot of the time people, when they see grass shinies, they're like, ooh, turn it autumnal. Get it that orange reddy color that we like to see in the autumn season. It's so pretty. Now, I do think that does look quite good on a lot of shinies. But if you guys know me, my favorite flower is the cherry blossom. And so I decided to let my inner pink lover out and shine on this one. So I decided to go full cherry blossom mode. And I made it pink. I am sure literally no one is surprised. Now, I decided to go ahead with this one and I did lighten up the body slightly and all of the browns. Also, as you can see, added a lot more pink, and I didn't go super bright pink because I wanted to keep it still quite soft, because I think with Leafeon, the thing I appreciate about its design is the way that the green and the yellow kind of blend together. So I wanted to kind of keep that about it. Obviously, it's not as smooth as the original. I really, really like how this one came out. I think for me personally, I do prefer this new shiny shiny colorway, although like I said, I don't dislike Leafeon shiny. If you're going to change a shiny Pokemon any color and you're going to turn it pink, I'm probably going to love it. So this is actually interesting because I took a little bit of inspiration from what I did for Leafeon shiny here, and I translated it somewhat into what I did with Glaceon. So let me get into that. Now this one was also a suggestion from Metal That Is Bended. Now this is included with the Leafeon and the Glaceon suggestion. Now I decided when I was redesigning Glaceon shiny, I was really struggling on this because part of me was like, oh, I could do the whole toning it purple thing, but I'd kind of turned a few shiny Pokemon purple at this point, and as much as I do love purple, I do feel like that is kind of a go-to color for a lot of blue shinies. So I decided I wanted to do something very different. Now, I personally like how this came out, but I think this is probably going to be the most perplexing one. I think people are either going to hate this or they're going to like it a lot. I personally really do like it, and I kind of did make it in part to match a little bit with what I did with Leafeon. So let me show you guys. And this is what I decided to do. I decided to go with that sort of creamy yellow color on the body, similar to what I was trying to get with Leafeon. I decided for the little like head crown, I would go for a more like pastel yellow. And I decided to kind of take inspiration from the pink with the Sakura from Leafeon and put that on as like a dusty pink in the air and the darker details on Glaceon. I don't know if I love this or not. I really do like the color story here. I think it's super unique for a shiny Pokemon, but I will say it does kind of lose its ice typing look to me. Now, some shiny Pokemon, that just happens. There's a complete color flip. It doesn't match with the typing that it has. It is just out there and it's random and it's fine. I do like this aesthetically, but I don't know if it screams Glaceon to me. So I don't know. I'm still unsure on this one. Maybe the purple would have been a safer bet. I don't know. I think this is a cool color story for Glaceon. I mean, it's definitely unique. I'll give it that. I understand if it's not for everybody though. Like I said, it's definitely not. It almost makes Glaceon look like a Sandion in a way, which, I mean, I don't hate it, but you know, it's not exactly, I don't think it's the best fit for Glaceon. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm kind of stuck on this one. And down to the lucky last redesign of this video, I decided to start off with 9, but I did a couple different ones for some of these shinies just because I had a few different ideas. So going forward, if this is something you guys like and I get a lot of suggestions for a lot of shiny redesigns, I might try to aim for like 9 to 12 shinies per video because it does take a lot of time actually trying to recolor these and have them look kind of okay. But we are ending off this time with our Cantonian Meowth, who was suggested by Nexus. Now, I definitely see why this one was chosen. I love Meowth. I think Meowth is so cool, definitely because of the anime. But I will say, I do think the shiny for Meowth is a little bit lacking. So I thought about it for a little bit and I decided what would be the best color palette for Meowth. There is only one true cat. There is only one cat to rule them all. And you know who it is. It's Garfield, baby. No, my actual final design for shiny Meowth is the Calico cat inspiration. I did contemplate making Meowth all just one color. I don't think this is super realistic to what Pokemon would do for a shiny Pokemon, although I do feel like as time goes on, we are seeing more interesting colorings for our shiny Pokemon and the patterns. And I decided, you know, rather than just making Meowth like a black cat or an orange cat, I really liked the idea of making Meowth Calico. I just thought that was super cute, and it kind of takes inspiration from a real life cat, which I don't know, to me, I thought it was super cute. I thought this was a little bit fun. You can definitely see when I was doing this video, I took a lot of my own creative liberties and just kind of played around with things. So I'm interested to see, what do you guys think? Which redesigns were your favorite? What would you do differently to how I redesigned some of these shiny Pokemon? And what Pokemon would you like me to redesign in the future? I had a lot of fun doing this video. This is definitely a series I would like to continue. It does take a little bit of time to recolor them all and redraw some of them, but I hope you guys did enjoy it. I had a lot of fun doing it, and yeah, let me know. What do you want to see change next? Do you think we can make some better shinies than what Pokemon has done? I don't know if I've done that, but some of these I was really proud of, so yeah. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna stop the yapping there because you guys know I can yap away. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for all of the suggestions, and I will talk to you guys all in the next one. Bye 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 bye.